Good morning, good morning, good morning. The time is now 7:13 and it is January 31st, 2020. Welcome to the live stream. And good morning. Today we will be reading through Exodus 22 through 24. And yeah, gonna get started any moment now. I actually did a little bit of my background housekeeping behind the scenes today so we can get a quick start. And so, without further ado, let's do just that.
Hello.
Good morning. It's me, Kenya. Have you ever tried honey in your coffee? I thought I'd try something different today. I didn't make tea, but I made some hot black coffee, and instead of sugar, I put in honey. So as soon as it cools down, I'll let you know how it is. Good morning to all my YouTube friends. All my friends are on YouTube, and you should be too. Would you like to be my friend? Then hit the red subscribe button. Okay, so yes, what are we doing here this morning? It's so early in the morning, at least here in Fort Worth, Texas. It is 7 a.m. Like I said, today's January 31st, and we're reading the Bible. This is the Bible that we are reading. The New Believers Bible Compact Version. Let's see, what is it called? I should know this by now. New Living Translation, right there. That's what that looks like. If you would like to get your own copy of this particular Bible, the link to this here Bible is in the description. And the guide that I am following to follow for my daily readings is called The Woman's Guide to Reading the Bible in a Year by Diane Stortz. Give me un momento, por favor, and I will actually give you a screen share of that so you can check it out. Right here. Well, this is actually where we're at. This is week 5. We're in week 5. Week 5 is the overall theme is called A Holy Nation. We're talking about the Israelites coming up out of Egypt, Moses leading them, his brother Aaron helping him, and God giving out the 10 Commandments. And so thus far we have covered right here Exodus 10 through 12, Exodus 13 through 15, Exodus 16 through 18. Yesterday we did 19 through 21, and today we're going to be covering Exodus 22 through 24. And let me give you a looky-loo of what the cover looks like in case you want to download this yourself. I got this off of Amazon. You might be able to get it as an Audible too. I didn't think about that. But I got the downloadable version, and this is what the cover looks like. It is available in a hard copy. So if you want, you can download this, and the link to this book is also in the description. So those are the two pieces of material and literature that I'm using for this Bible reading. Yes. And this is still way too hot, but I want to gotta keep my throat muscles. Gotta keep my vocals warmed up. Let's see. Let me get to my chat room so I can check in with my peoples. And then let me get OBS up onto the side like so I can see myself right here. And I can see my chat room right here. And welcome to all who are in the live stream, chilling in the background. Thank you for the thumbs up. For those of you who are watching this on the replay, make sure you hit the thumbs up. It does help out the channel and the live stream. It lets YouTube know what a fine job I'm doing. And it helps me to become recommended for other people who might be looking for content like this or some of my other videos. So without further ado, not bad. Not really good, but not bad. Without further ado, let's open this baby up and let's do a recap, which is what I like to do. So yesterday was Exodus. What did I just say? Short-term memory. I said 19, 20, 21, right? Okay, so let's do a recap of Exodus 19 through 21 to refresh our memory of what was read and give a little bit of context to what I'm reading for today. So, chapter 19, the Lord reveals himself at Sinai, talking about Mount Sinai. Let's see what else happened in chapter 19. That was it. So the Lord revealed himself at Sinai. He told Moses, I'm going to come down, talk to the people. I'm going to do it in the form of a cloud, put up this boundary. They cannot cross this particular boundary. Listen for the ram's horn. When the ram horn blows, then it's free. They're safe to come to the mountain. But, this is the setup that I need to have in place. Make sure you let the people know. That's what chapter 19 was covering. In chapter 20, we're actually covering the 20 commandments. The 20 commandments, only 10. I'm looking at the number 20 and my brain farted. Okay, so for chapter 20, we actually cover the 10 commandments, covering the people that were under the covenant. Let's see. And one of my viewers, Edward Smart, he made the comment that this is oh man. I just read it in my comments. I'm sorry, Edward. I don't wanna paraphrase. Give me a quick second. I'm gonna run over to his comment. And I do appreciate I appreciate it when you guys actually make comments based off of the materials. I mean, if you pop in and say, hey, how's it going? That's good too. But when we engage and have a little dialogue, it's always really satisfying to know what you guys think about something, your interpretation of it, something you might have learned before that might be slightly different, or information that supported it. I know what he said. I just wanna say it the way he said it. So, okay, as I'm waiting for this extra page to load, which is taking forever, I'm going to go ahead and finish doing the recap. Let's see. Also talking about the proper use of altars in chapter 20. In chapter 21, it was talking about fair treatment of slaves and cases of personal injury, rules and regulations for the law, basically. And that's it. Now we are in chapter 22. Yes, chapter 22. I'm going to actually close that. I'm actually going to close this too. There's a lot of work that I do on my computer and I never close all the tabs. So there's a lot of tabs. I was going to do a Facebook Live, but nope, not going to do that. And now maybe my computer can do its job. All right, shall we get started? I don't know if all that warming up gave anybody a chance to come in the chat room. Let me check in. Hannah Gatlich says, good morning. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning to you. Good morning, good morning, good morning to you. I don't know about you, but I remember singing that in either kindergarten or preschool, something like that. Okay, refresh my page. We're doing good, we're doing good. All right. Chapter 22 of the book of Exodus. We're talking about protection of property. So we're still talking about some legality stuff here. And this is from the 10 Commandments that God is giving to Moses to give to the people. Protection of property. If someone steals an ox or sheep and then kills or sells it, the thief must pay back 5 oxen for each ox stolen and 4 sheep for each sheep stolen. If a thief is caught in the act of breaking into a house and is struck and killed in the process, the person who killed the thief is not guilty of murder. But if it happens in daylight, the one who killed the thief is guilty of murder. A thief who is caught must pay in full for everything he stole. If he cannot pay, he must be sold as a slave to pay for his theft. If someone steals an ox or a donkey or a sheep and it is found in the thief's possession, then the thief must pay double the value of the stolen animal. And now for a quick moment of commentary. How are you doing? I'm doing all right. I'm a little tired, but I got my coffee to make it through. Let's get started. Yes, let us get started. I want to give a quick commentary to this. So yesterday, what was that? Yesterday in chapter 21, it was talking about the fair treatment of slaves. Now, slaves can mean different things in different cultures in different periods of time. But even so, even within that context, when I was reading some of this, I honestly did not like a lot of what I read. And I made the comment yesterday, and I'll make it today. I don't have to like what I read in here. I'm reading it for understanding, and I'm reading it for knowledge. And why did I say that? Why did I say that? Why did I say that? I'll come back to it. But yeah, I lost my train of thought. I will come back to that, but there are, as I'm reading along through this, I'm understanding, I'm getting an understanding of it, but I don't agree with everything. And yeah, I'll come back to that. So, chapter 22 again. Oh, that's what I was going to say for the commentary. So for the commentary, what I just read just now, if somebody breaks into your house and that person is, you hit them or attack them or whatever, and they are killed in the process at night, the person who killed that thief is not, guilty of murder. But if it happens in the daylight where things can be seen, you are guilty of murder. And I was just thinking, no, let me go back. A thief who is caught must pay in full for everything he stole. If he cannot pay, he must be sold as a slave to pay for his theft. That's what made me think of the slavery chapter from yesterday. And I'm thinking, so nowadays, in modern time, we're in the year 2020, if someone is caught from stealing, even if he can pay it back, it's automatic jail time. And I'm thinking, were there not prisons at this time? I know there were prisons at this time, and if so, I wonder why prison or jail wasn't mentioned. And then it says if they cannot pay, he must be sold as a slave. Now this part here is my personal commentary. This is my personal commentary. Being in prison nowadays, isn't that kind of a form of slavery? If you agree with that, let me know in the comment section or in the live chat. If you in the live chat, and if you disagree with that, let me know why in the live chat or in the replay. But I mean, there's lots of reasons why people go to jail. Not talking about violent things or sexual things or anything like that, but just like stealing or doing things like that. When you go to jail, especially when you go to prison for a long time, that's basically a form of slavery. You're in a place where you cannot leave and you do not have control or freedom of your movement. So I'm wondering, is that where our legal system came from or not? Okay, I'm off that tangent. Let me get back on course. We are still in chapter 22. A thief who is caught must pay in full. For everything is stolen, if he cannot pay, he must be sold as a slave to pay for his theft. Picking it up in verse 4. If someone steals an ox or a donkey or a sheep, and it is found in the thief's possession, then the thief must pay double the value of the stolen animal. If an animal is grazing in a field or vineyard and the owner lets it stray into someone else's field to graze, then the animal's owner must pay compensation from the best of his own grapes or grain or grapes. If you're burning thorn bushes and the fire gets out of control and spreads into another person's field, destroying the sheaves or the uncut grain or whole crop, the one who started the fire must pay for the lost crop. Suppose someone leaves money or goods with a neighbor for safekeeping and they are stolen from the neighbor's house. If the thief is caught, the compensation is double the value of what was stolen. Now I get that. I get that one. Because not only are you stealing from this person's house, but because they were holding on to something that somebody else had, you stole from two people. You stole from that person's house and you stole the possession that belonged to somebody else. I get that one. Let's see. If the thief is caught, the compensation is double the value of what was stolen. But if a thief is not caught, the neighbor must appear before God, who would determine if he stole the property. Okay. Verse 9. Suppose there's a dispute between two people who both claim to own a particular ox, donkey, sheep, article of clothing, or any lost property. Both parties must come before God, and the person whom God declares guilty must pay double compensation to the other. Now, suppose someone leaves a donkey, ox, sheep, or other animal with a neighbor for safekeeping, but it dies or is injured or gets away, and no one sees what happened. The neighbor must then take an oath in the presence of the Lord. If the Lord confirms that the neighbor did not steal the property, the owner must accept the verdict, and no payment will be required. But if the animal was indeed stolen, the guilty party must pay compensation to the owner. If it was torn to pieces by a wild animal, the remains of the carcass must be shown as evidence, and no compensation will be required. Quick commentary. This would not work nowadays, and for two reasons. One, not too many people own livestock, and then two, not too many people, I think, would swear an oath before God. And as I'm saying that out loud, I'm thinking to myself, well, this was meant for God's people. These words, these laws, this whole setup, these rules and regulations were rules and regulations for the under the covenant for God's people. And if you're not claiming to be God's people, or if you're not claimed by God, then this doesn't really apply to you, right? Am I right or am I wrong? I'm not saying that I'm right. This is my understanding of it. So again, let me know in the comment section or in the live chat, what is your interpretation of that? If this particular setup is meant for everyone or for God's people. God has set up the covenant. He's got these rules and regulations, these commandments that he's commanding to the people. And that's why it's set up that way. You already are under God. You are already part of the covenant. You belong to him. He is, you are his God to worship. So when we have these disputes, that's why you're going to him and making an oath, because you already have that connection. But if you're not connected to God, then what? Just a question. Hannah says, good for you, and I love grape juice. Girl, what did I just read about grapes? Oh, if your animal goes out and accidentally grazes in somebody's field. By the way, welcome back. I did miss you. I hope you had a good time, or if you were dealing with something, I hope that it all worked out in your favor. But yes, welcome back. And if you can't ever make it, no sweat. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here for next year. I'm going to be here because I made a New Year's resolution and I resolve to stay true to it. I will be here every day, God willing, reading my Bible. So if you can't be here today, come in tomorrow. And if you can't be here tomorrow, come the next day. Picking it up in, where did I leave off? Talking about the neighbor. I left my stuff at your house, and if we can't find a thief, then you're liable for it. You got to make an oath before God. Okay, yes. Verse 9. Yes, verse 9. I think I read this, but I will read it again. Suppose there's a dispute between two people who both claim to own a particular ox, donkey, sheep, article of clothing, or any lost property. Both parties must come before God, and the person whom God declares, that's why I just had that commentary, whom God declares guilty must pay double compensation to the other. Now, suppose someone leaves a donkey, ox, sheep, or any other animal with a neighbor for safekeeping, but it dies or is injured or gets away and no one sees what happened. The neighbor must then take an oath in the presence of the Lord. You have to already have this connection. If the Lord confirms that the neighbor did not steal the property, the owner must accept the verdict, and no payment will be required. But if the animal was indeed stolen, the guilty person must pay compensation to the owner. If it was torn to pieces by a wild animal, the remains of the carcass must be shown as evidence, and no compensation will be required. If someone borrows an animal from a neighbor and it is injured or dies when the owner is absent, the person who borrowed it must pay full compensation. But if the owner was present, no compensation is required, and no compensation is required if the animal was rented, for this loss is covered by the rental fee. That makes sense. Even if you're borrowing somebody's stuff, if they're right there, they're still responsible for their own things, even though they borrowed it out to you. Verse 16 is called social responsibility. If a man seduces a virgin who is not engaged to anyone and has sex with her, he must pay the customary bride price and marry her. But if her father refuses to let him marry her, the man must still pay him an equal amount to the bride price of a virgin. You must not allow a sorceress to live. Anyone who has sexual relations with an animal must certainly be put to death. But I just threw up in my mouth a little. Anyone who sacrifices to any other god than the Lord must be destroyed. You must not mistreat or oppress foreigners in any way. Remember, you yourselves were once foreigners in the land of Egypt. You must not exploit a widow or an orphan. If you exploit them in any way and they cry out to me, then I will certainly hear their cry. My anger will blaze against you and I will kill you with the sword. Then your wives will be widows and your children fatherless. If you lend money to any of my people who are in need, do not charge interest as a money lender would. If you take your neighbor's cloak as a security for a loan, you must return it before sunset. This coat may be the only blanket your neighbor has. How can a person sleep without it? If you do not return it and your neighbor cries out to me for help, then I will hear, for I am merciful. You must not dishonor God or curse any of your rulers. You must not hold anything back when you give me offerings from your crops and your wine. You must give me your firstborn sons. You must also give me the firstborn of your cattle, sheep, and goats. But leave the newborn animal with its mother for 7 days, then give it to me on the 8th day. You must be my holy people. Therefore, do not eat any animal that has been torn up and killed by wild animals. Throw it to the dogs. Quick commentary going back to you must give me your firstborn sons. I think I actually read that 2 days ago. Yes, 2 days ago, back in chapter 13, talking about the dedication of the firstborn and the reason why that was happening. I will read it from verse 14. This is chapter 13, verse 14 in Exodus. 2 days ago I read this. In the future, your children will ask you, what does all this mean? Talking about dedicating the firstborn child, or the firstborn child to God, and also the firstborn livestock. In the future, your children will ask, what does all this mean? Then you will tell them, with the power of his mighty hand, the Lord brought us out of Egypt, the place of our slavery. Pharaoh stubbornly refused to let us go, so the Lord killed all the firstborn males throughout the land of Egypt, both people and animals. That is why I now sacrifice all the firstborn males to the Lord, except that the firstborn sons are always brought back. And then it says, this ceremony will be like a mark branded on your hand or your forehead. It is a reminder that the power of the Lord's mighty hand brought us out of Egypt. So that was just a quick rewind of what that just meant. Let me come back and name that. So I was just now reading chapter 22. Chapter 22 and verse 29 is referring back to that other one. So I'll read that one again. Let's see. You must not. Let me start at verse 25. Exodus 22 and verse 25, and I'm going to bring it on back down. If you lend money to any of my people who are in need, do not charge interest as a moneylender would. If you take your neighbor's cloak as security for a loan, you must return it before sunset. This coat may be the only blanket your neighbor has. How can a person sleep without it? If you do not return it and your neighbor cries out to me for help, then I will hear, for I am merciful. You must not dishonor God or curse any of your rulers. You must not hold anything back when you give me offerings from your crops and your wine. You must give me your firstborn sons. Referring back to chapter 13. You must also give me the firstborn sons of your cattle, sheep, and goats, but leave the newborn animal with its mother for 7 days. Then give it to me on the 8th day, and you must be my holy people. Therefore, do not eat any animal that has been torn up and killed by wild animals. Throw it to the dogs. Now, I'm not a Catholic, but I do have Catholic friends, and I'm wondering when they give their, what is it? It's not communion. It's like a baby dedication, basically. And they take their kids to church and consecration. I think that's what it's called. No, not consecration. I know the word. It's on the tip of my tongue. If you know it in the live chat, let me know what it is. And if you know what it is in the replay, let me know what it is. But I had a friend who, when her baby was a couple months ago, a couple of months old. They dressed him all in white, took him to church, and it was like a baby dedication. Can't think of the word. It begins with the letter C though, and I'm wondering if that tradition comes from this particular scripture here. Moving on. I told you guys I got tons of commentary and I've got lots of questions. I don't always have the answers, but I got tons of commentary and questions. Chapter 23, a call for justice. You must not pass along false rumors. You must not cooperate with evil people by lying on the witness stand. You must not follow the crowd in doing wrong. When you are called to testify in a dispute, do not be swayed by the crowd to twist justice, and do not slant your testimony in favor of a person just because that person is poor. If you come upon your enemy's ox or donkey that is strayed away, take it back to its owner. If you see that a donkey or someone who hates you has collapsed under its load, do not walk by. Instead, stop and help. In a lawsuit, you must not deny justice to the poor. Be sure never to charge anyone falsely with evil. Never sentence an innocent or blameless person to death, for I never declare a guilty person to be innocent. Take no bribes, for a bribe makes you ignore something that you clearly see. A bribe makes even a righteous person twist the truth. You must not oppress foreigners. You know what it's like to be a foreigner, for you yourselves were once foreigners in the land of Egypt. Plant and harvest your crops for 6 years, but let the land be renewed and lie uncultivated during the 7th year. Then let the poor among you harvest whatever grows on its own. Leave the rest for wild animals to eat. The same applies to your vineyards and olive groves. You have 6 days each week for your ordinary work, but on the 7th day you must stop working. Lord, forgive me. Oh, Lord, forgive me. Ooh. I'm preaching to myself today. I really am. That should be on my New Year's resolution for 21. It should be on it for now, but I'm honest enough with myself to know that I am going to need help with this. Okay. I'm really preaching to myself today. Okay. You have 6 days each week for your ordinary work, but on the 7th day you must stop working. This gives your ox and your donkey a chance to rest. It also allows your slaves and foreigners living among you to be refreshed. Pay close attention to all my instructions. You must not call on the name of any other gods. Do not even speak their names. And now, 3 annual festivals in verse 14. Each year you must celebrate 3 festivals in my honor. First, celebrate the festival of unleavened bread. For 7 days the bread you eat must be made without yeast, just as I commanded you. Celebrate this festival annually at the appointed time in early spring in the month of Abib, for that is the anniversary of your departure from Egypt. No one may appear before me without an offering. Second, celebrate the festival of harvest, when you bring me the first crops of your harvest. Finally, celebrate the festival of the final harvest. At the end of the harvest season, when you have harvested all the crops from your fields, at these 3 times each year, every man in Israel must appear before the sovereign, the Lord. You must not offer the blood of my sacrificial offerings together with any baked goods containing yeast, and do not leave the fat from the festival offerings until the next morning. As you harvest your crops, bring the very best of your first harvest to the house of the Lord your God. You must not cook a young goat in its mother's milk. I don't know about you guys, but I've never heard of any of these festivals. Now, I do know that this is not a Christian ordinance here. These are Jewish people. These are the Hebrews that God is talking to. So I do know that much. So I'm wondering, is it because I was not raised Jewish that I don't know this? But there are many Jewish traditions that crossed over into Christianity. So I'm just wondering, like, why these 3 things were not included, or am I at the surface level of this, and these are things that may be turned into something else? So the first one, something about in the month of Abib, was it yesterday or the day before in the postscript? Actually, it's in the postscript again. Let me look this up. because I got a lot of little asterisks. I got a little stars, quite a few stars up here, and I'm going to jump down to the postscript to see what they mean. So the first one is referring to chapter 23, verse 15. It says, the Hebrew appointed time in the month of Abib, the first month of the ancient Hebrew lunar calendar, usually occurs within the months of March and April. And so usually in March and April, usually at the end of March or the start of April, right? That's Easter time. So is this the source of Easter tradition, or, I mean, before the crucifixion and resurrection of Christ? Is this kind of like the foreshadowing of it, or is this something totally different? Let's see, in 2316, what did I say? Okay, so when they're talking about the festival of harvests, it says here, or the festival of weeks. The festival of weeks, like, first week, second week, third week, fourth week. This was later called the festival of Pentecost. There we go. The festival of Pentecost, see Acts. So talk about something that's happening in the New Testament. It is celebrated today as Shavuot or Shabbath. There we go. I just answered my own question. Okay, the second part is 2316 again. It's called the Festival of Ingathering. So the final harvest is also called the Festival of Ingathering. This was later called the Festival of Shelters or Festival of Tabernacles. It is celebrated today as Sukkot or Sukkoth. Yes, those definitely sound like a Jewish celebration. So I'm glad I did read the postscript because I didn't know what that meant. And now, a promise of the Lord's presence, picking it up in verse 20. Honey and coffee, no bueno. Verse 20. See, I am sending an angel before you to protect you on your journey and lead you safely to the place I've prepared for you. Pay close attention to him and obey his instructions. Do not rebel against him, for he is my representative, and he will not forgive your rebellion. But if you are careful to obey him, following all my instructions, then I will be an enemy to your enemies, and I will oppose those who oppose you. For my angel will go before you and bring you into the land of the Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, Canaanites, Hivites, and Jebusites, so that you may live there. And I will destroy them completely. You must not worship the gods of these nations, or serve them in any way, or imitate their evil practices. Instead, you must utterly destroy them and smash their sacred pillars. You must serve only the Lord your God. If you do, there's an asterisk, I will bless you with food and water, and I will protect you from illness. Let me jump down to see in the postscript. In the Greek and Latin version of this verse, I is replaced with, or reads as he. Reads as he. Y'all know, if anybody studied languages, not everything is an exact translation from one language to another. So in this English written book that I'm reading now, this particular translation, it says, you must serve only the Lord your God. If you do, I will bless you. But here it says in the Greek text and Latin version, it would read, you must serve only the Lord your God, and if you do, he will bless you with food and water, and he will protect you from illness. So that's what that asterisk was there. All right, verse 26. There will be no miscarriages or infertility in your land, and I will give you long, full lives. I will send my terror ahead of you and create panic among all the people whose lands you invade. I will make all your enemies turn and run. I will send terror ahead of you to drive out the Hivites, Canaanites, and Hittites. But I will not drive them out in a single year, because the land would become desolate and the wild animals would multiply and threaten you. I will drive them out little at a time until your population is increased enough to take possession of the land. And I will fix your boundaries from the Red Sea to the Mediterranean Sea, and from the eastern wilderness to the Euphrates River. I will hand over to you the people now living in the land, and you will drive them out ahead of you. Okay, 2 items in the postscript. In verse 31, when it says, I will fix your boundaries from the Red Sea to the Mediterranean Sea, let's see some background here. The Hebrew, in Hebrew, from the Sea of Reeds to the Sea of Philistines. So that's how that passage would read in Hebrew. I will fix your boundaries from the Sea of Reeds, like, reeds in the water, to the Sea of the Philistines. And then the second part of that, when it said, I will, and from the eastern wilderness to the Euphrates River, in Hebrew, it would be from the wilderness to the river. Okay. Chapter 24. Nope. I got a little bit more in chapter 23. I have 2 verses left, 32 and 33. Verse 32 says, make no treaties with them or their gods. They must not live in your land, or they will cause you to sin against me. If you serve their gods, you will be caught in the trap of idolatry. That is very interesting. I like that. I like that. I don't know why, but that speaks to me right there. It's kind of like, I don't remember what the verse is, but it's like, be in this world, but not of the world. I mean, you can't not be in the world. You're here alive. I mean, we got to live, right? But be in the world, but not be of the world, or else you'll kind of like get caught up in the world. Part of the reason why I'm really taking my time to this is a symbol for me. This is a symbol for me to just I'm just doing a lot of different things to separate myself from the everyday goings on and trying to get in the word and understand and just live a different life. Okay, I see movement in the chat room. Hannah says, it's great to see you, darling, and I hope your daughter is feeling better than yesterday. Yes, she is. Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, because she did miss, I guess it's the cold season or the change of the season and whatnot, but she was ill one day, felt better the next day, and kind of had a little relapse. But yes, I think she's better, and I think she'll be getting ready to come out any minute now. So let me finish up this verse so I can get her on that bus, because education is important, both academic and spiritual. All right, let's see. Chapter 24. Israel accepts the Lord's covenant. Then the Lord instructed Moses, come up here to me and bring along Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, and 70 of Israel's elders. All of you must worship from a distance. Only Moses is allowed to come near to the Lord. The others must not come near, and none of the other people are allowed to climb up the mountain with him. Real quick commentary. Why only Moses? And then my first thought as I was answering myself is, even like a couple days ago when we read in other chapters, like when he was born, his mother said she could tell that he was special. In what way? But now we see that he is special. He's so special that God said everybody else has to worship at a distance, but you can come here. He's already one of the chosen. But okay, verse 3. Then Moses went down to the people and repeated all the instructions and regulations the Lord had given him. All the people answered with one voice, we will do everything the Lord has commanded. Then Moses carefully wrote down all the Lord's instructions. Early the next morning, Moses got up and built an altar at the foot of the mountain. He also set up 12 pillars, one for each of the 12 tribes of Israel. Oh, I forgot. I hadn't even been keeping count. Yeah, that's right. 12 tribes. Then he sent some of the young Israelite men to present burnt offerings and to sacrifice bulls as peace offerings to the Lord. Moses drained half the blood from these animals into basins. The other half he splattered against the altar. Then he took the book of the covenant and read it aloud to the people. Again, they all responded, we will do everything the Lord has commanded. We will obey. Then Moses took the blood from the basins and splattered it over the people, declaring, look, this blood confirms the covenant the Lord has made with you in giving you in these instructions. I never read that part before. Whoa, that's kind of deep. So all this time that they were making these sacrifices, is that what they were doing with the blood? Like covering yourself? Like I know now, as Christians, we are covered in the blood of Christ. I get that part symbolically, but I didn't know that was actually the tradition and culture at that time. It's like, sacrificing this animal and you are covered in, the blood of the animal to cover your sins and to cover your and to solidify that bond. Interesting. Then Moses, Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, and the 70 elders of Israel climbed up the mountain. There they saw the God of Israel. Under his feet there seemed to be a surface of brilliant blue lapis lazuli, as clear as the sky itself. And though these nobles of Israel gazed upon God, he did not destroy them. In fact, they ate a covenant meal, eating and drinking in his presence. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Come up to me on the mountain, stay there, and I will give you the tablets of stone on which I have inscribed the instructions and commands, so you can teach the people." So Moses and his assistant Joshua set out, and Moses climbed up the mountain of God. Moses told the elders, "Stay here and wait for us until we come back. Aaron and Hur are here with you. If anyone has a dispute while I am gone, consult with them." Then Moses climbed up the mountain, and the cloud covered it, and the glory of the Lord settled down on Mount Sinai, and the cloud covered it for 6 days. On the seventh day, the Lord called to Moses from inside the cloud. To the Israelites at the foot of the mountain, the glory of the Lord appeared at the summit like a consuming fire. Then Moses disappeared into the cloud as he climbed higher up the mountain. He remained on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. Can you toss those just so they don't scramble them around? I'm just about to ready to wrap up and we can head out. 40 days and 40 nights. You guys know how I feel about the number 40, right? I did actually make a video about numbers 4 or 5 days ago. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. Let me know what you think. And yes, there's quite a few significant numbers in the Bible and other sacred texts, but I just thought that was very, very appropriate, and I like that ending there. That Moses stayed up on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights. And that is where I end it here on 40 Entrepreneur Drive. For those of you who were able to join me in today's live, thank you so much. I appreciate the thumbs up. I appreciate you choosing to spend your time with me, because you could be anywhere, but you chose to be with me today, this morning, as I'm reading the Bible, Exodus 22 through 24. Pardon me, Exodus 22 through 24, with my special guest, Hannah Gatledge, in the chat room. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let's see. Quick prayer, and everybody have a great Friday, rest of the day. Thank you for listening on the live. Thank you for listening on the replay. Please, please, please let me know what you think about anything I am reading. I am not a theologian. I am not a scholar. I am a simple layperson with a quest to get through this Bible and understand it. I don't have all the answers, but I do have lots of questions and occasional commentary, as you can see. So if you know something I don't know, let me know in the comment section, either this one or any of the other ones that you listen to. If you have a resource for me to look into to get some further understanding, let me know. Links are not going to work in the comment section. Links are not going to work. So just let me know. You can actually blah, 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 blah. Let me untie my tongue. If you have a link to share with me, leave it, write me a message, write me an email at Kenya@40ENTP. That's my web email that goes with the website. So, or you know what else you can do? I think you could probably leave a link on the discussion tab. I need to promote that more. If you're watching me on a laptop, you can go to my homepage and it'll be like home, videos, playlist, something else, and then the about me, discussion tab, and then the about me. In that discussion tab, we can actually communicate back and forth, just like now, as if you were leaving a comment. Or you can do it on mobile, but since I don't know how to do that right now, I'm not going to share that. My daughter says you can do that on the discussion tab on the mobile too. Oh, you can if you hit the little box to say, please use this as a desktop version. In any case, if you have a resource for me to check out that would help me with my understanding that I can share with everybody else, leave that in the discussion tab, because like I said, links usually will go straight to spam. If you leave a link in my comments, it'll go straight to spam. So yeah, thank you so much. quick prayer so that everyone in the chat and everyone in the replay, Lord bless them, and especially after yesterday's trials and tribulations in the parking lot. Everybody's going through something. Everybody's going through something. Everybody's going through something. Lord, be with us all. Comfort us. Give us the answers that we need. Give us the guidance we need. Give us peace. Even the cats. Give these cats peace. And let us make it through and trust in you so that we can keep putting one foot in front of the other. I pray this in your name. Amen. You are a bad kitty. Get out of here. I'm sorry about that, you guys. By this time next month, I would like to be in my newest location, my next location, which will be away from the cats. So yeah, they like to be naughty. In either case, y'all be blessed. Have a great Friday. Come here, boy. Stop all that noise. What's your problem, boy? Sit down. Relax. Chill out. Thank you for joining me on the live stream. This is Kenya and Leche signing out on. I wish you had fingers, then you could snap with me. Don't you want to snap? Entrepreneur Drive 40. Entrepreneur Drive. Entrepreneur Drive. He's like, nope, nope. Entrepreneur Drive 40. Entrepreneur Drive. Entrepreneur Drive 40. Entrepreneur Drive. Entrepreneur Drive 40. Entrepreneur Drive. Thanks for watching. Share, like, and subscribe. Hey, knock it off, you guys.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to follow me on social media.